Good morning, good evening, good night, whichever applies to you. Welcome to this, the first of a number of short videos which are going to try and introduce you to Querious, the area around Querious, ways to make ISK and generally live and breathe in our new space and our new home. So I'm going to start with a basic introduction to what your various ISK making options are. If you're already familiar with that list and know what you're interested in, then please feel free to skip immediately to the next video, which will hopefully be of more interest to you. So without any further ado, let's crack on into our first subject. That's right, making ISK in Querious. So I'm going to give the basic introduction to ways you can make ISK in space. And this is pretty much the same in Querious as it is anywhere else in nullsec. So you have exploration. So this is basically the same as catch or anywhere else. You take something, usually a smallish ship like a frigate, with scanning probes on board. You use it to scan down the hacking and the archaeology anomalies, and you retrieve the loot from inside. It can be very profitable even with a relatively small investment in ISK and skill points. It gives you good practice, and it's actually a good way to get used to the region, because in order to find the exploration sites you need to go out and visit all of the various systems and generally get to know your way around. The second common way to make ISK in space is mining. So this is taking anything from a frigate through to a mining barge or even bigger, out to asteroids, to gas clouds, to ice belts, and getting the raw material which then feeds into the brave industrial machine. You can find plenty of ore in the anomalies that will come up, and if there's an ore prospecting array present in systems, you will have public moons which are being mined by moon mining set up by the Alliance for every Alliance member to use, and then you may also have access to private moons through your corporation or through contacts you make if you ask around. There are also ice belts in some of our systems which can be mined when they spawn. With the industry changes that have happened recently, there's a lot of interest in gas now, so gas mining can be an excellent way of supplying the raw materials that the Alliance needs to make battleships and capital ships. The most common way is probably ratting, which then also leads into escalations. So you go out, you find rats in belts, you find rats in anomalies, and you kill them and you collect the bounties from Concord. You can also get the salvage from those rats once you've killed them. And the other thing to be aware of is when you complete an anomaly, you may get an escalation message come up, which you'll be able to find in your agency. And with that escalation, you can either go and run it yourself, although they do tend to be quite difficult and involve specialist ships and fittings, and potentially quite a lot of travelling. But there are a number of ways, such as there's a channel on Slack, there's a channel in game where you can actually go and sell those escalations to other people. And something like, anything from a 6 out of 10 or higher, you are looking at tens, maybe even 100 or more million ISK. If you sell that escalation, so they are well worth selling. Planetary interaction is a good way of making some ISK in a reasonably passive fashion. And hauling and trading. So obviously watch out for the campers and the trolls and all the rest of it. But you can make good ISK that way. Now, in this, I'm only looking at ways of doing things that are actually in space. So obviously there's a lot of other things like markets and industry and all the rest of it, which I'm not trying to touch on here. But for each of these various things, if you'd like the sound of any of them, then you will be able to find plenty of tutorials both here on the Brave YouTube videos and out on the internet for them. I'm also going to do a number of follow-on videos to this one, and those will go into more detail as to how you can find good places for doing things like mining and ratting, and how you can safely travel around. But thank you for listening. I'm going to try and keep each of these reasonably short and sweet so that you get something in nice bite-sized chunks. So thank you, and see you in the next one.